You ever notice how sometimes we just try to dam up what Jesus says to us? Let me speak frankly. Spoiler alert, warning. I'm about to use some coarse language. Life can be hard as hell, can't it? Thank God that when the Son of Heaven shows up, He has even harder words. Think about it. If life can be as hard as hell, then we want heaven to be stronger than hell. And if heaven's going to be stronger than hell, we can expect the Son of God to show up and say things even all the more challenging. You wouldn't want it any other way, unless you just want a hell of a life. Take, for example, what Jesus said in Luke chapter 9, verse 23 and 24. He says, if you want to be one of my followers, you're going to need to deny yourself and take up your cross and follow me. You'll need to do this daily and then continue following me. Notice how what Jesus says at the beginning and the end is the same. If you want to be one of my followers, you've got to keep following me. And then notice the focal point. You're going to take up your cross. Take up your cross? Who does that? Most people, I am thinking, probably went to a cross, went there kicking and screaming. Somebody had to take them there. But Jesus says, I want you to do this on your own. I want you to take up your cross and follow me. That's exactly what He did. We imitate Jesus in doing so. You say, what does that look like? What did that entail? Well, He told us, I'll need you to deny yourself and take up your cross. And this is something you'll do that day and for the rest of your days. That is, if you're really going to be my follower. It's a daily decision to deny yourself and put Jesus first in everything over everyone. That's the only way that you can make heavenly sense of life. You know, if we need commentary on what Jesus says there, He gives it in verse 24 of Luke 9. His words that immediately followed hard on those that He said that were tough enough for us, we would think. He said, if you try to save your life, you'll lose it. But the one who loses their life for my sake will save it. What He's saying? He's saying what He just said. You'll be tempted to not deny yourself, but still say that you embrace me. And I'm telling you, that's a total fail. That's a loss. But the one who denies themselves and does this every day, that's the one who will find what it means to be saved by me. Jesus isn't content to just tell us that one time, one and done. He'll say that in many different ways throughout the course of Luke's gospel. But my personal favorite is in the very next chapter, in Luke chapter 9, the very end of that chapter. The majority of that chapter is composed up of a series of stories of how that people struggle with their faith with Jesus. They fail to one degree or another in following Him. I need to hear that message. My following Jesus will never be perfect. As much as I want it to be, it won't be. And I can be encouraged by hearing of these other disciples' own weakness. It impels me, it motivates me to be stronger in faith and to take courage and grit and go on with Jesus. Well, at the end of that chapter, in verse 57 through 62, Jesus thunders to us strong words. There, Luke records it like this. Two different people come up to meet Jesus, and they have something wonderful to say to Him, and we hear His very hard reply to them. And in between these two people coming to Jesus, Jesus approaches someone, and He says two wonderful words to them, but then we hear their terrible response. Listen to it afresh. First, someone comes to Jesus and says, Jesus, I'll follow you anywhere. What do you suppose Jesus said to that? Great, I've got another convert. You're just the person I've been looking for. No, He says exactly the opposite. He says, you don't expect to have things better than I did or do you? You realize birds have nests and foxes have holes in the ground, but I don't even have a place to lay my head. If you're looking to follow me and you expect comfort, you won't find it with me. And if you're looking to follow me and you want it to be convenient, Well, you need to go look somewhere else because I don't even know who you are. Wow, those are hard words. Jesus says, for anyone who wants to follow him, they need to consider very deeply near the front end of how they come to follow him about whether they're trying to fit Jesus into their comfort zone, if they're trying to make Christianity convenient for themselves. Jesus says, you have something to do with that? I don't want anything to do with you. Hard words, hard as heaven. Harder, thank God, than hell. That other person that comes to Jesus, that's the third of the three that's mentioned here. I'll skip the second one for the moment. He approaches Jesus and they say, Jesus, I'm all about following you. I'm going to follow you. But first I need to go home and take care of some business. I need to say farewell, goodbye to my family. And Jesus looks him in the eye and he says, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's just not fitting for me. It's not fitting of the King, our Father. Because, you see, if you think your family is number one, if you put your family first, that means our Father isn't first. And he'll take second place or back seat to no one, including you. You love your family? That's good. You love them as much as me? That's a big mistake. It's not fitting for you to think that you can go farming and keep looking back over your shoulder. You're going to wind up with a road that's anything but straight. It's going to be nothing but crooked. It's just not fitting for the kingdom of heaven. Wow, hard words. You can read them for yourself. Luke 9, verse 61 and 62. What Jesus is saying is very clearly as he said to the first one about comfort and convenience, he's saying here about family and what's fitting. That's even a saying that's well known in our society, our culture today. We put family first. Jesus says, God help you. In the center of that section, Jesus takes the initiative and approaches someone and says the most blessed two words that he could offer an invitation to anyone. He's asking someone to respond well to him. He's saying, follow me. Now think about it. You have the personal, in-your-face invitation of the Son of God. God has showed up and looking you right in the eye, and he's saying, I want you to be all about me. Will you walk with me? Follow me. What do you suppose the person said? This is what that person said. They said, I'm about that, Lord. I'll do just that. I will follow you. But first, I only ask one thing. Let me bury my father. Then I'll get back to following you. And Jesus says, that's not good enough. You let the dead bury the dead. Wow. Does it get any harder than that? Let the dead bury the dead. I want you to go proclaim the kingdom of heaven. Now, a quick sidebar, a footnote here. Perhaps what's going on here is so radically different from our custom in our society today, it's difficult for us to understand. But then you didn't think of someone dying and then very shortly thereafter either burying their body or cremating them, and that's it, you're done. Rather, instead, you entombed them and you let the body naturally decompose for a year. And then after that year, you would gather up the remains, that is, the bones, and then you would have the final resting place chosen, usually what we would call something like an urn or a vase, a jug, or even buried. Perhaps what this man is saying when Jesus approaches him and invites him to follow him, he's saying, Lord, you know that my dad has died, but I'm waiting for that time when we can finally dispose of my dad's remains, as in biblical language as it's used elsewhere in Scripture, be gathered to his fathers. What Jesus is saying there, if that's the case, is I'm not asking you to follow me and expecting you to skip being there with your family when your dad dies. You and I both know he's already dead. Somebody else can take care of the rest of the job. Now is the time for you to follow me. Now is the time I've showed up right here with you. I know what's best. I created time and I'm above it. I am the eternal one, and I am telling you, time-bound one, Now is the time to follow me. Don't do what this person said and say, I will, but on my time. When I get around to it. When I get past this, that, or the other, then I'll be all about you, God. That's just another way of putting Jesus in the back seat and you staying in the driver's seat. Whether you're considering becoming a Christian, initially responding to Jesus, or whether you're one who's already made that commitment, we can't hear this message too frequently. We need it emphatically emphasized to us. Jesus wants nothing to do with comfortable or convenient faith. He's not at all down with us not sensing the urgency of the eternal one in our life. And he certainly doesn't consider it fitting if we say, Father, I'll get around to you, but stand in line. My family comes first. You see, what Luke is doing is he records these sayings of Jesus and people's responses to what Jesus had to say to them. He's warning us of the most common ways that we fail to deny ourselves and to do that daily, and so take up our cross and follow Jesus. Go and think on these things and think on them well, because you want to respond to Jesus and you want to respond to him with an honest and good heart. Grace and peace be with us all.